The movie Adam's Apples is a fascinating and uncomfortable mirror when viewed through the lens of A Course in Miracles, because it forces confrontation with suffering, projection, denial, forgiveness, and the mind's interpretation of reality. The film deliberately destabilizes certainty. Nothing stays comfortably categorized: victim, perpetrator, saint, fool, faith, delusion, healing, pathology, kindness, avoidance. That ambiguity matters deeply in ACIM because the ego desperately wants fixed labels. Labels create the illusion of control. Ivan, the priest, initially appears almost absurdly optimistic. He reframes everything positively, no matter how painful or irrational events become. On the surface, this can resemble spiritual transcendence, but the film wisely complicates it. At times, Ivan's positivity feels less like peace and more like defense. That distinction is crucial. It teaches that true forgiveness does not deny the experience of fear or pain. Yet many people use spirituality to bypass unbearable emotions: grief, rage, shame, helplessness. Instead of healing, love and light becomes anesthesia. Ivan often appears to reinterpret reality so aggressively that he no longer honestly encounters it. That is not the same as miracle-mindedness. The ego can weaponize positivity just as easily as negativity. Everything is fine. There is no problem, only love, all while unconscious trauma remains unexamined. The film keeps asking, when does faith become denial? That is a psychologically mature question. At the same time, Adam, cynical, violent, nihilistic Adam, represents another ego strategy: defensive hardness. If Ivan avoids darkness through idealization, Adam avoids vulnerability through attack. Repeatedly says projection and attack arise from hidden guilt. Adam's cruelty is less about evil essence and more about defended pain and meaninglessness. He trusts nothing, mocks everything, destroys before being disappointed. That is the ego protecting itself from intimacy and uncertainty. And then comes the apple tree itself. Symbolically, it resembles the mind. Again and again, worms, birds, storms, destruction. The tree is constantly attacked, yet Ivan insists the apple pie will still happen. Through an ACM lens, the tree can represent the possibility of innocence beneath the chaos of perception. But the film refuses sentimental simplicity. Innocence here is not clean, polished perfection. It exists amidst absurdity, violence, disability, failure, and contradiction. That's important. It is often misunderstood as trying to transcend the messy human condition prematurely. But genuine forgiveness is not sterilized spirituality. The film drags spirituality through mud, and strangely, something honest emerges from that. One of the deepest themes is interpretation itself. Two people witness the same event. One sees punishment, another sees opportunity, another sees absurdity, another sees meaninglessness. Constantly points toward this. Suffering is not only about events, but about the interpretive framework applied to them. Yet the movie also warns against simplistic reinterpretation. Not every reframing is healing. Some are dissociative. This is where the film becomes extraordinarily nuanced spiritually. Ivan's faith partially heals people because he refuses to reduce them to their worst behavior. He sees possibility where others see condemnation. That resembles the Holy Spirit's reinterpretation in AM, seeing beyond the ego self. But simultaneously, Ivan's refusal to acknowledge reality sometimes fractures relationship and truthfulness. So the movie becomes almost a meditation on the tension between radical forgiveness and psychological honesty. That tension matters enormously, because spirituality without honesty becomes fantasy, but honesty without forgiveness becomes despair. The film never resolves this neatly, and that may actually be its wisdom. Adam gradually softens not because someone defeats him intellectually, but because he encounters an irrational persistence of mercy. Not perfect mercy, not psychologically clean mercy, but stubborn non-condemnation that destabilizes his identity structure. The ego often expects, if people really knew me, they would reject me. Ivan keeps refusing that script. In ACM, this resembles the undoing of guilt through non-attack. And perhaps the most unsettling insight of the film is this: both cynicism and forced positivity can become defenses against direct encounter with reality. One hardens against pain, the other edits pain out. But healing may require something subtler. Remaining undefended enough to face suffering honestly without concluding separation is the truth. That middle space, neither denial nor nihilism, is close to where real forgiveness begins in